What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. We will try to keep this one brief. My father was telling me today he almost killed my rooster because he charged him. And this is the rooster that's less than a year old. He's a dummy and he's at the bottom of the pecking order. But when he was telling me this, I noticed a reaction I had immediately. And it bothers me because I could see myself doing this exact same thing in however many years, based completely on rage. What happened was the rooster charged, my father punted him, and then he grabbed a rock and was going to walk over and kill him, and then decided not to. I could completely see myself doing that now. But anyway, the reaction I had, I shut off how I felt about the rooster. And his name, I go back and forth between calling him BBR and BBC, depending on how I'm feeling. I usually don't name animals. I use the Tarzan's son naming scheme. It's a boy, so we call it Boy. Anyway, I thought I loved BBC, but the moment I heard about The Rock, I killed BBC in my head and in my heart. So I could look at it as if this is just what happens and I don't need to feel any emotions about this or have a reaction that would cause a problem. And it was done like that, like a switch flipped. Caring would cost me more trouble than it's worth, so I shut it off. And I'm pretty good at doing that with connections to people. I can do it with emotions sometimes. The right conditions need to be met. And with the connections with the people, it's more of a conscious thing. With the emotions, it's more involuntary and unconscious. That just happens for the most part. But I thought about why I'm able to do this, if not why you should. And one of the reasons I think I'm able to do this is I don't view anything I feel as real. Most of the time for most people. And this isn't to say I don't feel anything about people. I do. But it's more like I am building an emotional profile for a person I am dealing with, so I'm able to deal with them. And I know that's real because if it were actually fake the way I feel it is, then there wouldn't need to be a switch flipping process. But the reason it feels fake to me is it seems like most people, when they have feelings about another person or they're connected with another person, the other person matters. And what I mean by that is you're connected with them enough, and some people can get this connected with a bunch of people. I've never understood that. The fewer people connections, I understood that better when I was younger, but you get connected with people or animals to the point they are part of you, and you're part of them. So, if something happens to them, if you lose them, or if you're lost, that's a wound. Like an arm getting cut off. It's painful and you feel it, and you'll be dealing with that loss for a long time. It's like people partially meld into one another. Most of the time, that's not the way I interact with people. I don't meld with people. Especially these days, a person I've known for years could fuck me over in some way, or it could reach a point caring about them costs more than it's worth the trouble, and I flip the switch so I can go on without needing to worry about them. Like a lizard and its tail. It is kind of part of you, but not really because you can grow it back. I don't feel the way I feel about people is real. Because if it were real, then I wouldn't be able to do this. And it's not completely willy-nilly. There are tons of people I wouldn't want to flip the switch with. I'd need to take a shot and grit my teeth to be able to pull the switch, or flip the switch, pull the band-aid off. But then once it's done, it's done. It's like that scene from I referenced that scene from Drive not that long ago. It's one of my favorite scenes. That's one of my favorite little mantras. It's over. It's done. There's no pain. There's no pain. And the reason I'm thinking about this right now is I dislike this capacity because I recognize the fact the connections, quotes connections, I share with most people aren't real, at least the way they are real to other people. And on top of that, I avoid getting close enough to need to develop an emotional profile for people in the first place, a lot of the time. And for that reason, I feel like I'm missing out on something. I'm missing out on caring the way other people care, because the few times I'm able to care about someone like this, it's intense. And it would be very pretty to do the cliche thing. It's the perfect Hallmark narrative. You have this difficulty connecting with other people, so you overcome this and are now able to connect with people on this Siamese way. But there are a bunch of problems with that. First, if this were something to overcome, I don't think it's something you overcome with effort. That'd be like trying to force yourself to grow hair faster. I didn't choose to start having connections this way. And also, when I've tried to force myself to care about people the way I think people are supposed to care about people, it doesn't work. There would need to be a potent unconscious shift and then time. But that leads us into the next issue. Why would you want to change the way you connect with people? Because you think back to when you did connect like this. Seriously connect with people. Have your heart open. And the few times you do still manage to. How does that work out for you? People eat you alive. The world kicks you harder than you knew it was possible to be kicked, and then it kicks you repeatedly. For the most part, this isn't a world or a species conducive to caring. In spite of all the dumb shit people say. And I always wonder, what world are people living in? But looping back around for a second, selfishness is another aspect of why my quotes connections with people, or my sometimes quotes emotions, don't feel real. It's selfishness. If you actually cared, if you actually felt something, this emotion would be outside you. It would be focused on this other person or responding to this event, but that's not the way I feel about my connections or my feelings. It's all about me. Ergo, do you really feel bad? Or have you been looking for an excuse to feel sad because feeling sad is a fun thing to feel? Looking for a reason to be angry because anger is a fun thing to feel? And if you are feeling these things all for yourself, then you aren't really feeling them, and you probably should turn them off and cut the shit. And that's how I feel about almost all my connections. But with my emotions, that's how I feel about only some of them sometimes, but it is there. Feeling like what you feel isn't real because it's selfish bullshit. And this is the way I go about dealing with people and feeling things. Probably so I am able to keep myself secure and afloat in the world. So I'm not sprinting with the equivalent of a broken leg, or a leg that could be broken. However, in spite of all this, If we think of consciousness and unconsciousness, or your conscious and your unconscious, as the front seat and the back seat, I've noticed when I do this, which is the equivalent of tossing shit in the back seat, so it's not fucking me up while I'm driving, I will feel things later in the background, and those things will be expressed in weird ways. Example, I've been fucked up about this rooster thing. What happened, yes, but more how quickly, how instantly I went into so it goes mode. And I was listening to Saturday Night by the Misfits for about 40 minutes until I clocked it. I'm sad. And just now, actually, saying I'm sad out loud was like getting hit in the ribs with a pipe. But up until this exact moment, I've felt fine. And probably by tomorrow, I'll be completely fine. It's a weird, sad thing. We'll cut it here, but fortunately the video should be short enough we get to use the stupid Flamehead Chariots video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.